Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today we are taking a look at Maui Linux. Now, if you're not familiar with Maui, it is the latest offering from the Netrunner development team. And if you look around this distro, you can see very nice looking. But how does the performance stack up? Watch to find out. Alright, so here we are at the Maui Linux homepage, and actually before I get into details about Maui itself, a little bit of background information. Like I said, it was the Netrunner development team that came up with Maui. At one time, Netrunner was a single distribution. It was based on Kubuntu, which is the KDE version of Ubuntu, or the KDE spin, however you want to look at it. And then a few years ago, they actually added another distro to their stable. It was still KDE based, but this one was a rolling release, and it was based on Manjaro, which Manjaro itself is based on Arch Linux. So you had a Kubuntu based version, and then you also had this rolling release that was based on Manjaro. Well, just kind of reading through here and reading through the notes from on the Netrunner website and whatnot, it talks a little bit about Maui being released, and this Maui will continue as the full desktop version of the previously Kubuntu-based Netrunner line. Now, instead of being based on Kubuntu, it is based on KDE Neon. Now, what KDE Neon is, you've got the latest KDE packages. However, it stays on a LTS base. It uses Ubuntu 16.04 base. So you've got that long-term stability on the, I guess you could call it, core components, but you are always going to be able to get the latest KDE components. So that's kind of the basis of Maui. But as I was reading through more of the information here, coming down here where it says background, it talks a little bit about Blue Systems, which Blue Systems, they have been involved in multiple distros. They do a lot of sponsoring of different KDE projects. Just kind of clicking over to the Blue Systems website and going to projects. It talks about they're a sponsor of Netrunner, KDE Neon, KDE Plasma Development, KWin Calamar. You can see all these different projects that they are at the very least sponsoring, if not really involved in the development. But kind of coming back to where let me find my spot here. There we go. It talks about how they've been involved in the Maui distro project for the past 2 years with the goal of bringing development closer to the KDE frameworks and Plasma technology. In other words, getting that latest KDE slash Plasma package. But when you come down here where it says Netrunner, it says Netrunner as a distro will not disappear, but continue in a much more specialized form and shape. If Netrunner rolling will be continued will be decided within the next month. And this was written August 14th. So we're just gonna have to watch and see where that leads. There hadn't been any new posts since this, as far as telling us, Netrunner is going away, Netrunner rolling is going away, what's going on there. So we're just going to have to kind of watch and see as far as that goes. Anyway, coming back to the Maui Linux homepage, very nicely designed page. I do have to say that. They really did a good job with the web design. Talks a little bit about the layout there, download link, latest news, and that's about it for the main page. You can go to the About page, and it tells you all kinds of good stuff about Maui. Firefox with Plasma integration, the Dolphin, VLC Media Player, G Music Browser, Krita, Carbon, Kden Live, Kate, all kinds of good software there. Telepathy and Skype set up by default. Yakwake, great drop down terminal. Synaptic Package Manager, awesome right there. Steam client ready to go. All kinds of great stuff there. So here we are with the default look of the Maui Linux desktop. Really haven't changed anything. In fact, other than adding a few things for doing my screencasting here, I haven't added any software or anything like that. So probably the best place to start is we'll just do a walkthrough of the desktop. You can see that up here on the top you've got three desktop icons. One goes to their is a link to their README page, and then we've got our network folder here, and then a My Computer link. If you double click on that, it'll open up about your system. So you can see we are running KDE Plasma version 5.7.5, KDE app version 16.08.1, framework version 5.26.0, Qt version is 5.7, kernel version is 4.4.0-34. Wow, that is a long digit. So anyway, we've got those three little icons set up. Down at the bottom over on the left hand side, we've got our menu, and they've got the full screen searchable menu set up. And so you can go in here, and let's say we were looking for LibreOffice, and just start tapping away, and it'll pull it up for you. And if you don't like the full screen menu, you can always go to something else. Come here, down in here to alternates, and it'll give you a list of different ones you can go to. We've got this application launcher here, this application menu, which is a little more compact. This one's pretty interesting, this simple menu. Let's switch it to that so you can take a look at that. Might be more to the liking to some people. If you go and open that up, and it's just a a basic categorized menu there. Still have the search function if you want to do if you want to search. So once again, start typing in LibreOffice, boom, it pulls that up for you. So I'm going to return it back to the default, which is the application dashboard. We'll just return it to that. So anyway, we've got that for our menu, and then we've got some quick launch icons, one for Dolphin, our file manager, then one for Firefox here, and then we've got our open applications, which I've got a couple things open right now. And then scrolling on over here to the other side of our bottom panel, we've got our various indicators, volume, that one's for my simple screen recorder, notifications, all the usual tray icons that we're used to seeing. And then next to that, we've got our time/date. Clicking on it, it'll pull up a calendar for you. And then I guess you could consider that a hamburger icon, so you can go and, if you want to go and edit your panels and play around with them. As far as the desktop itself, let me go and open up folder view settings, and you can see there's you're not limited to just one wallpaper. You got a fair number of other ones that are installed by default. And of course, if you want, you can click on the Get New Wallpapers and download a few things, or if you got some stuff saved in your picture folder or whatever, you can go and switch to that and use that for your wallpaper. So let's move on and take a look at the software that we've got installed by default. So let's open up our menu, and Under games, we already mentioned that Steam was installed by default, but you got some other stuff that's installed as far as games go. Nothing extensive, but after you need a break from that LibreOffice document that you're working on. You got a few things here, little distraction, give you a break or whatnot. Coming down to graphics, we got both Krita and GIMP, which I think is a good combination. Just in my experience, Krita is really good as like a painting type application, as a digital painter, whereas GIMP, I think it really excels at image manipulation. Not that you can't do drawing here, and not that you can't do image manipulation on Krita. I just think that they each got their own regions where they excel. So anyway, we've got that. We've got GwenView. We've got Carbon. We've got Scanline. If you're not, or I'm sorry, Scanlight. If you're not familiar with Scanlight, it is essentially the KDE scanner application. Under Internet, we've got Firefox, we've got KDE Marvel, Conversation. If you're not familiar with Conversation, it is a KDE IRC client. We've got Pigeon Internet for our instant messaging, Q-Transmission for BitTorrent needs. Already mentioned about Skype being installed by default, and then we've got Thunderbird for our email. And I'm really glad to see Thunderbird installed, because the I guess you call it default KDE personal information suite, aka Contact. While it has got a ton of features and very customizable, it is not as user friendly, especially for a new user, as Thunderbird. Thunderbird, very easy for a new user to set up and get it running. Under multimedia, I installed GUVC View and Simple Screen Recorder. Those are my go-tos for doing most of my video work. So those weren't installed by default. Everything else here was. We got Audacious, Gmusic Browser, Handbrake, Camazo, Kdenlive. Kdenlive, I think, is, as far as open source video editors, I think it's the best one out there. Of course, we've got our Pulse Audio Volume Control, VLC Media. Nice thing about VLC, pretty much any video codec or whatever, anything you throw at it, it's going to be able to handle it. So very nice there. And then for screencasting, they got VokeScreen installed. I could have gone with the VokeScreen, but I've had trouble with it in the past, so that's just why I went to my old standbys, just because don't have to learn anything new to do the to use these two right here, and the fact that I know them inside and out. Coming down here to Office, we got the LibreOffice Office Suite, and then we've also got Ocular for document viewing. Under Settings, just the typical KDE settings. Under System, we have Synaptic Package Manager, probably one of my favorite ways to install software on a Ubuntu/Debian based distribution. Dolphin, Dolphin is probably the best default file manager out there. We've got Gparted if you need to do a little partitioning, K-Info Center so you can check on things about your system. Console is the default KDE terminal. Of course, we've also got YakWait, which is the drop-down terminal. K-System Guard, the KDE Wallet, network drives. SUSE Studio. SUSE Studio is great for writing ISOs. So if you need to make an installation media, great tool there. We've got our Update Manager, VirtualBox. Don't usually see that installed by default. I think that covers that section. Utilities. One thing I kind of saw under utilities, we've got both Kwrite and Kate, which are both text editors. I was kind of scratching my head why we've got both. One's a little lighter, a little more stripped down, but why we've got two. I'm not really sure on that. So we got that. We've got K3V for disk burning. Spectacle is the screenshot tool. Um, Very nice tool, in fact. Big improvement over the old KDE screenshot tool. And then, of course, our power buttons they're listed right down there. So we have a great looking distro and we've got all kinds of software installed. Unfortunately, performance is where things kind of fell apart for me. Now, some of the issues that I ran into, I think they're not necessarily 100% the developer's fault or problem. It's stuff that they kind of inherited from other sources. At the same time, they may have been able to remedy some of it. So first one on my list has to do with graphics drivers. Now, because my graphics card is an AMD that's a few years old, it is not supported by the new AMD GPU graphics driver. And of course, as most people know, the AMD Catalyst driver is essentially dead on Linux. So that leaves me with the Radeon driver, which the performance I'm getting on this distro has been pretty bad, especially in Firefox, but other applications as well. Getting a lot of video tearing, a lot of screen tearing. So just the performance as far as graphics go, it's not there. And like I said, we are kind of forced to use the Radeon driver. Can't use the Catalyst one, which was always a real good performer for me. But at the same time, on my main Solus desktop, the Radeon driver, it's been tweaked so that it's running maybe not as well as the Catalyst driver, but it's pretty good. Definitely far better than the performance that I'm seeing here. So I ran into that issue. Another issue that I ran into, and I talked about this one back when I was running OpenSUSE with KDE, was dual monitor support. You go and you log into your computer system and only one monitor is showing. Now you log out, log back in, everything's fine. And I did a video showing how to fix that problem. However, that kind of a fix is not implemented by default. I would have to go in and fix that. It's kind of frustrating, especially when, essentially I was able to find the way to fix this issue, but it's not being implemented by default. Kind of, or at the very least, have some instructions for, hey, if you have dual monitors or triple monitors or however many monitors you have, here's how you can deal with that. So we had those issues, and like I said, those are kind of inherited. Other things I ran into, login time. When I initially booted up the computer and logged into the system, from the time of putting in my credentials for logging in to the time I actually had a viable working screen, it was probably close to 2 minutes. Now compare that with, and I don't want to keep going back to Solus, but Solus, which is my main distro right now, we're talking less than 2 seconds on the same computer. If it was 10 seconds, 20 seconds, okay, it's just a little bit slower. But 2 minutes, I mean, we're getting, that that's down in Windows territory there. We can do better. So that was a big frustration for me. And then I've had a lot of the apps that are glitching up on me. They would freeze for a few seconds, and I couldn't work. I'd have to just kind of sit and wait, and hopefully eventually they would start working again. Now that may be related to the video driver issue, or maybe not. I don't know. But to kind of sum it up, performance has not been good. Overall, my kind of my overall impression of the distro is it's like, okay, we had these great ideas to make this really nice looking distro, and we've installed all this software by default, but it's like that they just stopped after that and didn't finish with bug fixing and seeing if how well all this stuff is going to work together. And maybe it's just my computer system, and I will go on the record as saying when I tried KDE Neon, which, like I said, this is based on KDE Neon, I did not have good performance with KDE Neon. So maybe my system just does not play nice with KDE Neon, and of course anything that it's based on. Um, at the same time, this is supposed to be a finished and ready to go distro. It was kind of disappointing that it almost felt like it was unfinished. So, having said all that, I think that just about finishes this review up. As always, leave comments, questions, all that kind of stuff down below, and I will try to get to it as soon as possible. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe, and please share this video on every social media known to mankind so we can spread the word about this channel. And I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.